Hi, this is Ms. Serratus. In this video, I'm going to give you a tour of Excel 2013. When you open up Excel 2013, this is the screen that you will see. The left will contain recent documents that you would have opened or worked on. And on this big section here, you'll find templates. These are pre-made Excel files that you can explore and see if they work for you. You can also take your own tour. It's very short if you would like, just by clicking on this button here. But for the most part, when you're in Excel, you're going to click on the blank workbook, first option. The Excel files are called workbooks, which is different from Microsoft Word, which they're called documents. So just keep that in mind. You're working with the workbook. Let's start at the top. This is called the title bar. And the first part of the title bar will tell you the name of the file you're working on. Since I have a blank file, it's just called a book, where in Word they were called docs. And it tells me that I'm in Excel. Well, one way I would know that I was in Excel just by seeing this part of the screen. Word would be a flat, a piece of paper. Excel, we have this grid. And I'll get back to that in a moment. So this part here at the top is called the ribbon. And the ribbon contains tabs. We have the Home tab, Insert, Page Layout, etc., etc. And each of these tabs has these commands. And these commands are actually called buttons because when you click on them, they do something. We also now have the file. And what file does, it allows you to open a new document, save, print, and go to your recent documents so that you can navigate among the files that you've been working with. I'm going to hit this arrow to go back. The other thing I want to point out is this thing up here. It's called a Quick Access Toolbar. The Quick Access Toolbar is used to put buttons that are commonly used often so that they always stay in place. So, for example, if I click on this drop-down arrow, the ones that are checked are the ones that will show up there. You definitely want to make sure you have your spelling up there, your undo and the redo. They are lifesavers because let's face it, we all make mistakes. I also like to keep up there the print preview. That's not normally there. You may want to select it, and when you select it, the check mark will show up and it'll be here. Now as I navigate from the different tabs, you should notice that these buttons stay in place. So that's what the Quick Access Toolbar does. So let's talk about this here. Each of these boxes, they're actually called a cell. And Excel has a lot of cells. And the name of the cells are very, very formal. It is the intersection of the column letter and the row number. So we've got columns that start with letters and we got rows that start with numbers. So this particular cell that I'm in right now is H7. How do I know it's called H7? The H is highlighted, the 7 is highlighted. So that's how I know it's called H7. There's another way that I know that it's H7, and that's this here in the corner. This is called the name box, and the name box will always tell you the name of the cell that you're in. If I click on the first cell, that's A1. You could see A and 1 are highlighted, plus A1 shows in the name box. The first cell is also known as the home cell. So sometimes I will refer to the cell as the home cell. I may say get back to the home cell, and that's what I'm referring to. So next to the name box we have this here. This is called the formula bar, and the formula bar is basically where you put all the information. Let me rephrase that. When I type the word home cell, it actually shows up in the formula bar. So you can either type something in the cell directly or type it over there. So for example, I can just click on this cell and type the word test, and you noticed it showed up in this cell. So what the formula bar does is it allows you to see what's inside of a cell. But we're going to get back to that in a little bit. We have our scroll bar, and most kids are surprised to find out how big Excel is. And I'm going to take a shortcut by using my control arrow down. That brought me all the way to the last cell, the last row, and that's 1,048,576, and control arrow right, and that brings me to the last column, which is XFD. So the name of this cell is XFD 1,048,576. 576. And no, there's no other cells after that. As you can see, it's all completely blank. But that's not the end of Excel. If I can direct your attention to the bottom left, you see the word Sheet 1. If I click on this plus sign, I've got a Sheet 2. Control arrow down, control arrow right. Guess what? The name of the last cell is the same thing. XFD 1,048,576. And look, I can add more sheets and more sheets and more sheets, and it goes on and on. You can add thousands of sheets. Is it really necessary to have that many? Probably not. Most definitely not for our particular case. There are other things that you can do to these sheets. I just click back on sheet 1. I right click, and you can actually change the tab color. Maybe I want this one to be green. Maybe I need this one here to be a different color. Maybe we'll go with blue. So you can change your tab colors. And having the word sheet 1, sheet 2, etc. isn't really informative. So you can also right click and rename them. Maybe I want to call this work. And maybe this one here is going to be data. I'm not sure, just an example. Just to show you that you can actually change the names of your tabs. And there are other things that you can do, such as hiding a tab. If you are doing something on a particular worksheet that you don't want someone else to see, you can actually hide it. And also, the unhide will become active later on. So you also have your scroll bars to navigate within Excel. Sometimes kids get lost on how to get back. As you can see right now, I'm on XEC 1,048,540, and I've got to go all the way back to the home cell. And the quick and easy way to do that is to do Control Home. And when I do that, bam, I'm back on cell A1. So let me just go ahead and delete these. I'm just highlighting it and hit my delete key. There's something else I want to show you. So if I were to type a fake name, Lady Gwendolyn Davenport. Oops, let me spell it correctly. Fake name. And I were to ask you, what cells is this name in? I would guess that most of you would say that it's in A1, B1, and C1, because you can see that it's covering that much space. However, I'm going to tell you that you're incorrect. The answer is all of that information is contained in the cell A1. How do I know? Because when I click on A1 and look at the formula bar, it tells me what's in that cell. If I go to B1, it's blank. C1, it's blank. So the formula bar is helpful in that it tells you what is inside of the cell, because sometimes you can't actually see the entire cell. In this case, I can see the whole cell because B1 is empty. But if I go ahead and type a number in B1, I just happen to type the number 12. Now look, it looks like A1 only says Lady Gui. I'm not good at pronunciations. And B1 says 12. But if I click on it, I can clearly see that it says Lady Gwendolyn. So what I need to do is actually make my column wider. And the way to do that, pay attention, a lot of kids get this messed up, but this is a skill that's really going to be useful for you, is you want to come up to the letters. You hold your mouse between the A and the B until you get this plus sign type of image. I'm going to hold the click, and I'm just going to drag as much as I think I need. And that's how you make it wider. You can also make it smaller and make it wider the same way. You can also do the same thing with the row numbers. You can make them bigger and make them smaller. Alternatively, I could just put my mouse in that same spot, that line between the A and the B, until I get this image that looks like a plus sign, and I can double click. And look, when I double click, it does what's called auto fit, meaning that it automatically goes to the size that I need. So that's something that you should practice, making your columns wider and then bringing them back in, because it's going to become very useful. One thing that you can also do is select all the columns. So the one way to select the columns is, instead of selecting here, I like to select in the letters. So I just select a bunch of them, and then I'll just drag any of them, just one, and you'll see it makes them all the same width. So that's how you can change the size of columns, multiple columns at the same time. I'm going to go ahead and undo. So one reason why I'm really talking about this is sometimes kids make the mistakes of thinking that you can change the column within the cell itself. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a Control C and Control V, copy and paste, just so you can see it a little bit better. And I can't even get to the line to move it across. I can't do it. So I have a lot of kids who get frustrated. Maybe we'll do another number over here, and there's a line, I can see the line, but I can't get to the handle. So some of my students are frustrated that they can't actually widen the column, and the solution is come up to the letters. You get this image, and then you go ahead and widen it. That, my friends, is an introduction to Microsoft Excel. Please explore it for a little while and see what new things you can find out. Good luck!